Every club.
Every day.
The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Daily Newcastle podcast. My name is Michael Grahamslaw and, well, in today's episode I will be joined by Iain Mackay, but you won't hear the lovely tones of Iain until after our first advert of the episode. So unfortunately, we've had a rare error in our hosting platform, which has led to the first 10 minutes of the podcast being deleted, and as it's currently after 10 p.m, I don't really want to bother Iain later on, so I've jumped on and I'm going to give a recap of what we spoke about. It'll probably only take a couple of minutes, and then we can get back into the conversation between Iain and myself. So, to start off, we've established that on our last two pods, it's very, very good times to be a Newcastle fan right now. We're in a great run of form, and particularly the latest result, which was Newcastle United's joint biggest win against Manchester United since the Hawaii 5-0. Now, I wasn't alive for it personally, but Iain remembers it well, and my memories of it come from a little video. We had a little video cassette player, and my parents, it was the black and white, had Hawaii 5-0. I believe it was Darren Peacock and Ginola celebrating on the front. My parents played it to me pretty much every day through my childhood. Well, at least that's what it feels like, and that's how the story's been told. So it's one of those where, I mean, I might have chose to play it myself. I'll be completely honest, but it's ingrained in my memory as a truly fantastic day. 1996, obviously being the year I was born. I don't remember too much about it from memory. Obviously, nothing at all. But it was a great result for Jason Tindall, a great result for Newcastle, and I'm sure Eddie Howe was kicking every ball in the RVI on Sunday evening. However, it does look, as it stands, that Jason Tindall will be on the touchline once again against Palace, and it looks likely that he will be on the sidelines against Aston Villa as well. And to be honest, potentially for the foreseeable future, as Eddie Howe has pneumonia. Obviously, everyone at the Daily Newcastle team wishes Eddie Howe the best. Speedy recovery. Health comes before absolutely anything. So, all the best, Chief. Now, I want to hear from you. Obviously, the first half against Manchester United, some say it left a bit to be desired. Some say, great half, we just didn't take our chances. Now, whatever you think, was the tweaks in the second half good enough that you still have confidence in Jason Tindall's managerial abilities with Eddie Howe unavailable? I'd like to hear from you, and whatever you think, I absolutely do. And for those that didn't follow Howe and Tindall at Bournemouth, why would you? We're not Bournemouth fans. But it was Jason Tindall who took the Bournemouth job after Eddie Howe. It actually only took 10 games for Tindall to taste defeat in that role, and he only lost 3 out of his opening 23 games before a dismal run of form led to Mad Dog losing his job. But less about that. Over the short period, it looks like Newcastle United are in good hands. So enough about Tindall. He loves the limelight. We're not going to give him too much more. I do want to ask listeners as well about the opposition on Wednesday night. We've played Palace earlier in the year. Realistically, they looked like relegation contenders at that time. I think they'd only won one game all season, and they absolutely battered us to the extent they needed a 94th minute equaliser to draw the game. It was a truly baffling game. Newcastle didn't muster a shot on target, or a shot at all, I believe. And the goal came from an excellently worked free kick, it must be said, between Gordon and Sandro Tonali, which led to Mackay putting the ball in the back of the net. Maybe not the first time for Newcastle. Who knows? But that's more of a transfer topic for later this year. I'd just like to know, sort of listeners, if you're concerned at all about that, because it was undoubtedly our worst attacking performance under Eddie Howe. Arguably, our worst performance point blank, and that's including, when Villa thrashed us a few years back at Villa Park. It was a concerning time, but there are a few stats right now that I think change people's should change the perception going into the game. Obviously, Crystal Palace haven't scored a goal at St James's Park since February 2021, and Newcastle have kept 4 clean sheets in a row during that time. And then their last meeting at St James's Park was their joint biggest over Crystal Palace in our history. So we've only beaten Palace by 4 goals 3 times, and, well, the other times Newcastle ended up having a decent result in the next game as well. So that's all I need to say. We have wrapped up the first part there. Second part and the third part run absolutely fine. So you will hear Iain along with myself, and it's not just 5 minutes of me talking. And in the meantime, we're actually going to hear the lovely tones of Ken, one of the owners of the Global Sports Podcast Network. So take it away, Ken, and bring me back Iain Mackay.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now. Your body is your sport.
And there we go. Thank you very much, Ken, although you did try and go again twice, which is not very good.
He's trying to step in so I could stop me, or he could stop me. I'm asking you the same question I asked Nicola a day or two ago, which is, if you were picking your 3 ingredients to personalise your Bioniq supplement, what would they be, Michael? Mine were pizza, ice cream, and Stella Artois.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
What are yours? Otherwise, I'll pick them for you.
all right. I'd go chicken wings for flavour, Guinness for substance, and no, I was going to make a joke, but I'm not going to. There might be kids that listen to this, so I can't say that. I will say Skittles as the third, because I'm so childish.
Nice. Very good. Skittles, chicken wings, and Guinness.
Oh, yes. Balanced diet.
I can hear the mixer going in Canada as we speak.
Get yourself on that site, because who knows? That might be one for you soon. Yeah, that's probably never going to happen. But we can dream. Now, what I've got here is that I want to go into the next section, which is previewing, looking a bit more at Crystal Palace. And they're in a good run of form. They've won 7 games in all competitions in a row before the game against Manchester City, where they let a 2-goal lead slip out of their fingers. Now, my question to you, Iain, is who from that Manchester City lineup that's already beaten us multiple times, that's irrelevant, who in that Palace lineup are you looking out for on Wednesday night as a potential threat?
Oh. Is it wrong for me to say, in celebration of his new contract extension, that it isn't Will Hughes? I don't know why.
That's brilliant.
I thought he was rubbish at Derby, and I think he's rubbish at Palace as well. But
yeah,
maybe
he's not great.
Harsh. Their front 3, Eze, Mateta, and Sarr, absolutely lethal. Eze, I think, is one of very few left wingers I wouldn't mind having instead of Anthony Gordon if we didn't have Anthony Gordon. I think he's a superb player. Equally as frustrated at lack of England time in the back of the Euros. I think he's fantastic. Doesn't get very many goals though, but they've all got. There's half a dozen of them with a fantastic free kick. Yeah. I think we've got to be wary, but I do think when we're on it, and we've looked since the cup final as if we're stepping up like a racehorse that has 2 or 3 pipe openers to get up to be race ready. I thought the second half against Manchester United, we were hitting the levels that we hit against Liverpool, and there's not many teams that can live with us if we're pressing and choking and suffocating them so much as we did against Man United in that second half.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed we're in that sort of mood, and maybe it'll be like when Brentford came and Waymo and Wissa couldn't get much of a kick, and we'll just pull away from those front three.
Yeah, hopefully so. I think you made a good point. It's very similar to the Brentford game of Brentford were in brilliant form as well. Wissa and Mbuemo, obviously fantastic players. I think the one difference for me between the two would be Mateta, obviously with his strength and physicality. Very different player, but obviously Eze and Sarr, very direct, and they could cause a lot of problems, particularly if Tino Livramento doesn't make the game. But one player that I'm particularly impressed with, and for anyone that listened to the team of the season so far on the Premier League podcast, I actually said Daniel Munoz, the Crystal Palace right back, was potentially going to be in my team of the season because I think, and we saw. I think he's absolutely fantastic. He obviously got the winner, the equaliser, against Newcastle in the 1-1. I know he missed a few chances that day. But at the same time, every single time I see him, he's so energetic down the touchline, and he's also got the capability of scoring a couple of goals as well. And even if Tino does start, you do see sometimes in that left back position, he's so much better going forward, but defensively, as we saw for the goal, actually, against Manchester United. Yeah. So he does get caught out a little bit. Now, he's been fantastic since moving to left back. So it's the only criticism I have on that side. But if it is Tino and Murphy on the right, Tino and Barnes, should I say, on the left, against Munoz and Ismaila Sarr on Wednesday, it could be one of the most interesting matchups we've seen at St. James's Park in a long time. And it might not be one that we end up winning. I'm actually feeling quite nervous about this game, and I wasn't against Man United, I wasn't for Brentford, etc. But Palace, they're in good form, and I think the loss to Manchester City, they'll be wanting to bounce back from it, and they're very faint hopes of European qualification are all but over, thankfully, at least in the league. So they play Aston Villa in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. And if they progress, well, they're the only team that realistically could hinder Newcastle United's European chances because Villa, Nottingham Forest and Manchester City all look like they're going to make Europe this season. Obviously, Villa, if they fall off a little bit, maybe end up finishing 7th, they might end up taking a spot in the Europa League instead of the Conference League. But question I want to ask is, looking at that Crystal Palace lineup, do you think they've got what it takes to join Newcastle United as silverware winners this season?
Oh, that was what the question was. Blimey. First of all, just to go back to some of your preamble, Munoz was the one guy that the Crystal Palace lads on our crossover for the first game, which might just have been me with them, he was the guy that they highlighted that no one had heard of that would play well, and he did. He scored the equaliser. So the fact that he's getting into your team of the season means that he's sustained that as well. So that will be good.
Yeah.
I would hope that because of that threat, Tyndall will have seen it, and that we might well see Joe Linton assigned more of his third centre back role if Tino is going to push forward.
Potentially.
They've done that very, very effectively before. That would certainly help to neutralise the threat down there and leave Tino racing forward and taking people on in the opposition half, which is what we want.
Yeah.
So, who's going to win the FA Cup? Right. Not Crystal Palace, if they're the only ones who can hinder us. I don't want them to do that. I would quite like... I don't want Man City to win it because they win everything. So I think I probably would want Villa.
Okay.
And that would be compensation for Villa being in the middle leg of teams being knocked out of the Champions League by Paris Saint-Germain just before they play Newcastle. So they're all so depressed that we can win at Villa on Saturday after they get knocked out tonight. Hopefully after extra time and penalties like Liverpool did. Fast forward a month, it'll be Arsenal that are getting knocked out in the semi-final just before they play us. and we can win there as well. And that's why we'll finish second, Michael.
Oh, bold claims. Now, Aston Villa, Arsenal, and Liverpool all getting knocked out by PSG, all losing to Newcastle United. It's almost as if after beating the Parisians 4-1 last season, they've gone, you know what, we'll do you a favour in the next season.
They have. They've done
Love
us 3.
to see it. Love to see it. Now, personally, I actually kind of want City to win it because I don't want another team outside the Big Six winning anything and sort of making our achievement look a little worse. Now, that's incredibly selfish of me. But for some reason, I kind of just like the idea of Newcastle being the one to break it. And then it's, Newcastle being the only one to win another trophy outside the top 6 for another 10 years or so.
Well, we can, but if you look at the way this Premier League has gone, Michael, with Forest doing so well,
Big Six is
Manchester
dead.
United and Tottenham fighting relegation almost, that top 6 stranglehold looks like it's dissolving anyway.
Yeah.
If Chelsea fail to get Champions League, and they are really wavering at the minute, that's 3 years running that they won't have got Champions League, and they're spending like they're
A
guaranteed to
lot
have
of
it for
money.
the next 5 years. So they could
Yeah.
end up in some real trouble. I like it. I like the idea that it don't have to be in the top 6 to win everything, and actually a well-run team that's just made some useful signings can go all the way and get some silverware,
Yeah.
which we showed this year.
Exactly, yeah. Now, to be fair, if City don't go on to win it, I wouldn't mind Palace doing it. Villa and Forest have had success in their sort of the lifespan of the club, while Palace's greatest cup memory is Alan Pardew's dance in a final that they went 2-1 ahead and ended up losing to Man United. So, yeah, it's quite depressing. So, let's give them something to smile about. And speaking of something to smile about, we have our second advert of the episode, which will be read by
Ooh.
Iain from Zencastr.
Yeah, there's not many jokes in it though, Michael. So maybe they'll just
Oh.
have to smile at the soothing nature of my voice. Do you have a story to tell that the world needs to hear? Have you struggled with reaching new audiences who are engaged with your story? It might be time for you to start a podcast. Let me tell you about a platform we use here at Global Sports Podcast Network. Zencastr makes it easy to start a high-quality podcast built for growth from day one. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes ums, ahs, you knows, and 22 other speech patterns, Zencastr makes it super easy to start a podcast that sounds great. Ready to tell your story? Check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
Beautiful stuff, Ian. Thank you very much. So, I'm looking at our lineup for tomorrow, and there are a couple of topics that I do want to talk about. Firstly, Tino Livramento, as I briefly mentioned earlier, is a fitness doubt after picking up a knock against Manchester United. Now, we all want him to play. Maybe that's more because of the alternative, but also because he's been absolutely fantastic since coming in at left back. But I want to mention the alternative. So I've noted down 3 potential scenarios if Livramento isn't fit, and I want you to let me know which one you think. Well, actually, which one you will think Eddie Howe, or Jason Tyndall, should I say, will go for, and which one you would go for if they're not the same. So, scenario 1, Emil
Yes.
Kraft comes in, and either Dan Burn or Kieran Trippier going at left back, or Kraft, but I don't feel like I remember him playing at left back at any point. Scenario 2, Matt Targett comes in, like for like swap. Or scenario 3, Jacob Murphy moves to right back, Kieran Trippier to left back, and we see both Gordon and Barnes start for Newcastle. So, Ian, I'll start with, what do you think Jason Tyndall will go with if that's the case?
Oh, what do I think he would do? I think, because Target is a long way off the first team, even when he's making his substitutions.
Yeah.
Therefore, I think Jason Tyndall, and it would be my preferred choice as well, I think, will switch Kieran Trippier over to his England position of left back and
Yeah.
bring Emil Kraft in at right back. I don't think he'd want to sacrifice Jacob Murphy and his fantastic form that he's in, both goal scoring and goal providing, you wouldn't take him off the right wing.
Yeah, I have to
But
say. Sorry,
later
go
in
on.
the game, it could be that he could drop Murphy back to be playing at right back and bring a Sula on or something.
Yeah,
If Kraft needs to go to centre half and Burn to left back because Trippier just doesn't cut it on the left anymore. But I don't know. I think Trippier's in great form. I think you want to put Trippier in. Kraft's
his
come on,
natural
hasn't
position.
embarrassed himself at all when he came on against Man U. He's one of the tools in the toolbox they reach to first when it comes to substitutions. So I
Yeah.
think it'll be that.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. I have to say, Murphy moving to right back, Trippier at left back, and Gordon and Barnes starting. I'd put it in there because I was thinking, wouldn't that be great if we could have Gordon, Barnes, and Murphy all on the pitch at the same time? But I'm not sure I would like it against Crystal Palace. It might have worked against, let's say, Ipswich in a few weeks' time. But yeah, I don't think I'd like it against Palace. What I can potentially see happening is Kraft coming in, Trippier staying right back, and Dan Burn going left back, which
Yeah,
Burn's dealt with some of the best when he's been in that left back position, and he hasn't disgraced himself. I remember the Forest game last season. I think it was Hudson-Odoi or Alanga. I can't remember which one was on the right that day. They did him for pace a little bit. It ended up in a couple of goals for Forest, but at the same time, most games he does fantastic when he's in any position. And it's a testament to how Burn's been this season. Who, to be fair, I mentioned the team of the season pod earlier. Dan Burn was actually one of the only Newcastle representatives that other people put forward alongside Isak. So just shows you how well people
yeah.
outside of Newcastle have viewed him this season.
I don't
Absolutely
think I don't.
fantastic.
Sorry, I don't think Tyndall will switch Burn from centre half though. I mean, that's his England position now, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
No, he's versatile, but we've got other people who are versatile. Um, and I don't think we've got another left-sided centre half until Bottom comes back.
yeah.
So
It's
I hear what you're saying. It could happen, but I don't think that wouldn't be my choice, and I don't think it'd be Tyndall's choice. I think Trippier left back, Crafton on right back would be my first choice, and I think would be what Tyndall would do. But I'm also thinking what you've heard, the late fitness test is a ruse, and that Tino will be fit to start.
There's always potential that he is, and to be honest, there's always potential that if he does have that fitness test, he passes it. And all of this is hearsay, and we didn't really need to talk about it. But if we didn't talk about it, and we should have, we'd be kicking ourselves in the
We
ankles.
would.
So, the second question is, we've had a pretty stable team. No changes for the last few games. But can you see any changes going into the midweek game? Any potential rotation? Anyone that maybe looked a bit leggy against Manchester United? Do you think maybe Gordon returns to the side despite Barnes getting a brace? I personally wouldn't do it, but questions are there.
I can't see it, Michael, and certainly not Barnes. I mean, when we did the preview of that game, I picked Barnes out to be the match
Star
winner,
man,
and
yeah.
so it proved. Although some would argue that Tonali deserved it, but the two goals that he got and the constant threat down the left played really
Yeah.
well. Um, it's a long time since he's had a run in the team. I don't think Tyndall would say, "You're doing really good, Harvey. Step down and let's have this other guy come in."
I agree.
Couldn't say it. Um, and what a fantastic first sub bringing Anthony Gordon on is, by the way,
Yeah,
whether that's for Barnes or for Murphy. Um,
100%.
I've kind of got used to their approach of not rotating the players, but maybe just making their substitutions a little bit early if they're trying to give players a rest. Um, let's be honest, the main players, Bruno, Jolinton, Murphy, Isak, they all got quite a decent rest during the Man United game, came off reasonably early.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it just goes with the same team. It's the
Yeah,
cup winning team. The cup winning team. Now, since they come back to the league, by the way, they've scored 2 goals, then 3 goals, then 4 goals. It means they're going to get 5 tomorrow night, if you like the
oh
maths.
yes. 5 times we're going to put the ball in the back of the net. Now, I would love that. And it would actually be our biggest win against Crystal Palace, as I mentioned earlier. So,
Absolutely. Well,
get it on.
If City can do it, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. City have been poor this year. Kevin De Bruyne has got nothing on Bruno Guimaraes or Sandro Tonali. That's a clip and a half. But he's absolutely fantastic. We're playing fantastic. I think there's a good chance that we do turn up and we do put goals past them. But at the same time, Crystal Palace are a very, very dangerous side. So with that, I want to go into predictions for the game. Iain, is it the normal, the 3-1?
I was within 5 minutes of being right, wasn't I, on Saturday?
Yeah,
It
unfortunately,
was
the goalkeeper
just that
decided not to kick the ball properly.
goalkeeper gave it straight to Joelinton for Bruno to score on the 85th minute or whatever it was to make
Typical.
it 4-1. So I think Palace are a little bit like my winning 3-1 prediction against Brentford in the Carabao Cup. I think we will do very well to get a clean sheet against them. So I think they will score.
Yeah,
But I mean, we just choke the life out of teams. When we're on it, nobody can live with us. Liverpool couldn't live with us when we're
yeah.
really on it. And however good Palace are away from home, I think we will just kill them in midfield. And once you've won the ball in midfield and you've got that territory, because Will Hughes will be in there somewhere, won't he? Trying to fight with one hand tied behind your back, honestly. Once we've won it in the midfield, we've got Barnes, Murphy,
Yeah.
Isak up front with Gordon to come in and relieve. So, yeah, we'll score a few goals. 3-1 for me, Michael.
Oh, who could have seen that coming? No, I think it's one of those where when I've got Palace's team against Manchester City in front of me, and I'm looking at the three at the back, and I know Mackay will be back, but a back three of Chris Richards, Maxime Lacroix, and Mackay, I definitely look at our front three and think we can get at them because Gay, although he's a good player, he was at fault for the own goal. Lacroix's been fantastic, but it's Chris Richards who I really think we can get at and sort of cause issues with. I haven't been impressed with Kamada or, to be honest, Mitchell this year. I do like Tyreek Mitchell, but I think he hasn't been at his best this year. I think Kamada as well doesn't look a great fit, but I think you're right. I do think we're going to overwhelm them in midfield. And that's why I mentioned those positions. I don't think their back three is going to be able to come in and help out the midfield like we often see Fabian Schär do for Newcastle. And I think that'll be... Sorry, were you going to add something?
I was going to say, additionally to that, both Munoz and Mitchell do like to
Yeah,
bomb up their wing backs rather
100%.
than full backs. That means there's gaps. Certainly, if you've got players who are able to dribble past them, and I think we have on both sides. I think we've got Murphy on the right, and I think we've got who is super quick, by the way.
Yeah.
And both Tino and Harvey Barnes can beat their man. And Tino is so quick to get on the overlap. I think there's space out wide for us to get to the byline. I just think, I think we know we need to exploit the wide spaces and the space behind the fullbacks if they're pushing on.
Yeah, 100%. And to be honest, I agree with you as well that I do think it'll be a game with goals. I'm not going 3-1, but I am going to go for a tightly knitted 3-2. I think Palace will actually probably start the quicker of the two sides. And I know we normally start very, very quickly at St. James's Park, but I think midweek under the lights might be a little bit sluggish early on. They hit us. It'll be similar to the Nottingham Forest game, in my opinion, where they scored early and then Newcastle turned the screw and went, hang on, we've got to start playing here. And although we nearly ruined it against Nottingham Forest, I think it'll be similar where Mateta, Eze and Saul have a fantastic lineup and they'll probably get 2 goals between those 3, but I think Newcastle will hold on like we've done so many times this season. It's actually strange. I don't know if you find this as well, Iain, but Newcastle being good at holding on to points in leads. I saw a stat during the Man United game where the best in the league after taking the lead. I remember in the 2010s, if we took the lead, I used to look at my phone and see what the odds were for the other team to score next. we'd never we'd never hold on to a lead, it felt like. So
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but it feels fantastic.
it is. And I'll tell you what, it's really helped in our charge. We haven't drawn very many games at all,
No.
you know? And I always used to say, probably to console myself after we'd had a very bad defeat, but a win and a loss in any two games gets you a point more than drawing both of them.
Yeah.
So that little run when we lost to Liverpool and we lost to City, but we beat Forest in the middle, was the
Yeah.
equivalent of actually drawing all three games, and we'd have been happy with 3 draws in those matches.
We would have, yeah.
So that's key. There you go. It's about to be a draw tomorrow night now, isn't it?
Well, let's hope not. But you've made an excellent point there. And I think that point is excellent enough to end the pod on. So
Oh, lovely.
we've been the Daily Newcastle team, Michael and Iain. It's been fantastic to have you. Thank you for listening. And hopefully we're picking up 3 points tomorrow.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network. Every